What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. Norman Powell says that the NBA is showing favoritism to the Los Angeles Lakers. Norman Powell, Clippers swingman, just got acquired not too long ago in a trade, a steal, a great trade for the Clippers. Definitely speaks on this topic in regards to the game that was played from the Lakers playing against the Clippers a couple nights ago. And he was basically speaking on looking on SportsCenter. You see all the highlights from the Lakers and you only see maybe one or less from the Clippers. And the Clippers were the team that won the game. And, you know, when I think about this, when I dissect it, I have to give Norman Powell a lot of credit because he's actually just saying something that a lot of us already really know. And don't get me wrong, the Lakers have been a winning organization for years. They've always been on top. They've always been the best organization in regards to the best team in LA for a long time. So you got to give them that credit. You got to give them that respect. Nobody's taking that from them. But at the same time, when they're not winning, when they're not playing up to the level of standard that most people expect them to, you also got to give credit to the other team that beat them. And the reason why I feel like, you know, the media really doesn't want to give the Clippers credit because they just don't want to see them win, you know, and that's just the bottom line. Don't get me wrong. The Clippers have not been a winning organization for, you know, years and years ago and all that stuff. But, you know, for the last several years, a couple years, they've been, you know, a fairly good team to winning team. And ever since they had Kawhi Leonard, well, you know, they've been a championship contender type team. So, I mean, they haven't won the championship yet. Granted, I'll give you that. But at the same time, they do deserve respect in regards to how they play and, you know, what they do on the basketball court. I mean, because when you look at this season and how this season has unfolded, you know, for the Clippers so far, it's been a myriad of injuries and to their two top stars at that. And they still found a way to be effective through all these games. And they're still playing 500 basketball and they're still in the 8th seed, you know. So it's been very, very, surprising to see them play the way they have been playing. But at the same time, you got to give them that credit. You know, they've been doing it. They've been sustaining it. They've been maintaining and they've been living up to, you know, their own expectations. And I think a lot of people don't want to give them credit. And Norman Powell is 100% right, as I said, because it seemed like that the 3 games they beat the Lakers this season, it seemed like they, you know, predominantly always talk about how the Lakers lost the game rather than how good the Clippers played to win the game. And that's just been the notion, you know, in this season so far, every time they've played each other. And it's like nobody's really giving the Clippers credit, you know, with what they have out there on the floor, which is not much in most people's eyes, but it's helping the Clippers get over the hump and get over the top and beat teams like the Lakers, who have way much more on their roster as far as superstars. And the Clippers are 3-0 against the Lakers this season. Now, I know the media definitely hates that. The media definitely doesn't like the fact that you know, what's being said in regards to, you know, the team and everything like that. And in regards to, you know, giving them the credit, you know, and I know a lot of people who actually watch the Clippers, you know, are saying this team is very impressive. But the upper media, you know, like Stephen A. Smith, people like that, you know, they hear the things that's getting said about this team. They hear that this team is flying on the radar and doing very well, but they don't really care to speak about them because they're all about the Lakers and LeBron James. And that's something that I've been speaking about ever since I've, you know, started this channel, you know, a long time ago, seemed like, you know, it's just in the Lakers favoritism. And it's not saying that, you know, we don't know why the Lakers aren't favored, because they're the Lakers and they're supposed to be Showtime. They're the biggest thing in LA for years. Years ago, they have been, you know, but at the same time, a team like the Clippers is definitely on the rise. And at the same time, I feel like, you know, the media should definitely give them a lot more credit for what they're doing rather than, you know, other teams like the Lakers, all their faults, the reason why they lost the game. Give the Clippers some credit of why they won the game. The Clippers played defense. You know, the Clippers, you know, they did in this last past game, they were up by 15, 16 points. But at the same time, you know, they found a way to, They did lose the lead, but they found a way to regain it back once they got down by 5. Going into the fourth quarter, I think they only scored like 15 points in the third quarter, but they found a way to neutralize the Lakers some and actually get the shots that they wanted and make the game competitive down the stretch, made the necessary shots they needed to when it was called upon for them to do it. And they won the game and the Lakers didn't. LeBron had the ball in his hands at the last possession. That's all the Lakers can ask for, But honestly, if you look at it from my perspective, the Clippers should have never even been up by 16 points because if the Lakers are this superstar team that everybody says they are, then how are they losing to a team without Norman Powell, without Kawhi Leonard, Paul George? You see what I'm saying? How are you losing to a team without superstar or star type power like that? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like the Clippers have pretty much have lost everybody at some point this season due to injury and still find themselves playing 500 basketball because Ty Lue has his team playing at a very, very high level for what they have on the floor. I mean, you're asking a bunch of young guys to go out there and play like professionals at that level, like they've been in the league for several years, and he's got them actually finding a way to being, to doing that. They're playing because they're getting accustomed to each other and they're understanding each other. And I feel like, Norman Powell's comments are right, in regards to just the overall totality of the Clippers this season. They've just been underrated regardless. And the Lakers have been getting all this favoritism, not only when they play the Clippers, but I mean, throughout this season, like just to use an example, if you look at Undisputed with Skip and Shannon, how often do they talk about the Lakers more than they talk about the Clippers? They talk about the Lakers every day. They don't really talk about any other topic, seem like, unless it's either the Lakers or Tom Brady. And what does that tell you? They're only really predominantly talking about one team, and this team is struggling more than the other team who actually has a better record, who's beat them 3 times. So it's like, the favoritism is a big thing in LA, right now. But the only way that's really going to get cleared up, of course, is if the Clippers could win a championship. And I definitely think they can do that if they can get healthy. But if and healthy is 2 big words when it comes to Clippers, and that's just going to have to, it's going to have to work out in their favor, and all the stars going to have to align, for everything to go right. But it can, if they can get healthy, I believe. But I definitely agree with Norman Powell. I definitely think they should be showing more, Clippers highlights, especially if they play the Lakers, in regards to, the game, because, I feel like everybody should see how the Clippers found a way to win more so rather than saw or see how the Lakers lost it. And then when you look at SportsCenter, it's not only against the Clippers, it's a lot of games when the Lakers play, they advertise it like that. And that's just the way it is. But the Clippers can change that. As I said, if they win a championship, they can definitely change a lot of that. Because right now, the Lakers are just a mess, and you just don't know what to expect from them going forward in the future as far as next season. This season seems like, they are who they are. They're not going to get much better. No trades have been made, and LeBron's definitely unhappy, or his camp is unhappy. And it just seems like, it's a lot of drama going on with them. So I see why, the media talks about them, because they definitely give you a story, a good headline to talk about. But at the same time, they should be talking about the Clippers too, because the Clippers do have a better record. And as of right now, as it speaks of this year, if you only want to go by this year, they're the better team in LA. They just are, because they've won 3 straight times, 2 times specifically without Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, maybe even all 3. But even still, you have more firepower on the floor as the Lakers, and you found a way to come short in every game you've played, whether 3 superstars on the floor or 2. And you had a bunch of good role players too. But like I said, it just shows the coaching. Sometimes coaching makes a lot of a difference in a series, or how a game is played, or how the outcome of a game, goes, is because sometimes it comes down to, coaching, the coach making the right decision, drawing up the right plays to get a team in position to win the game. And that's exactly what Ty Lue always does. That's why he's won a championship as a player and as a coach, because he understands basketball from a different perspective rather than just playing it. So, he's implementing what he knows to these young guys and getting them in the right spots to be effective. And you have to give him credit for that. You really do. And that's the reason why I believe the Clippers, took down the Lakers once again, even though the Lakers did have LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. They made a comeback, took the lead, but at the same time, it comes down to coaching and it comes down to executing plays at the right time. The Clippers were able to do that. They were the better team. They definitely should get more praise in regards to what they did, more highlights, I should say, in regards to what they did. They didn't, but it's okay. They got the victory, and that's the only thing that matters. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that matters to Ty Lue. It's the only thing that matters to them. So we definitely understand that, but I definitely think they should get a little bit more favoritism, especially in regards to what they've been able to do this season. I don't think any other team will be able to do it except them. They're the best team in the NBA when it comes to fighters mentality, next man up mentality. They defy it, or they give you the meaning. They show you what the meaning of it is more than any other team in the NBA. It's no doubt about that. So, definitely, big shout out to them for that. And hopefully they keep it going and, see what happens. Maybe Paul George will come back along with Kawhi, this season. They make a run at it and, shock the world. But hey, that's my take on everything. You leave any comments in the comment section as always. And, hey, Khaliis out.